Hi everyone, it's me, and today let's watch a theory, a Rick and Morty theory, together. Wait, let me try this one more time. Hello everyone, it's me, and today let's watch a theory, a Rick and Morty theory, together. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Stop being in love and start having fun.
Oh, love's pretty fun, Summer. Just give it a chance. I hate to break it to you, but what people call love is just a chemical reaction that compels animals to breed. It hits hard, then it slowly fades, leaving you stranded in a failing marriage. Break the cycle, rise above, focus on science.
Oh, jeez. Season 5 Rick is way different than you, Season 1 Rick.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory.
Hello Internet, welcome to Film Theory. Hello.
The show that's back with a ridiculous theory that, if true, will expose probably the best twist reveal any show has ever conceived ever. I'm not even joking. If this one is even remotely close, we're talking a reveal on par with Game of Thrones' Red Wedding, or them needing to go back to the island on Lost. Now, don't get me wrong, I've loved the start of Season 5 of Rick and Morty.
He do a reference on the Red Wedding. Get it? They kill a lot of the main protagonists that we thought is gonna survive.
Honestly, it feels stronger than the start of Season 4. But even with the episodes themselves being solid, something to me is felt off about it all. The characters just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but they're acting in ways that don't quite fit with how they're established to operate. And I'm not the only one to notice this. Mixed in with all the praise have been people calling out the fact that the characters just seem out of sorts. There's also some outright mistakes, which we'll talk about here in a minute, that for any other creative team might slide, but for Rick and Morty just feels sloppy in a way that the show isn't. Something is clearly amiss in Season 5. And while it certainly could be new writers, or the break between seasons, or the fact that this is the fastest turnaround time ever for a season of the show, I'm not convinced that that's it. I think that there's a theory that explains all of it. The weird characters, the mistakes, and the odd creative choices that we've seen in these first few episodes. I think that what we're witnessing in Season 5 is evil Morty's origin story. Things feel off because we're following a different Morty and Rick from a different point of their lives, and that by the end of the season there's gonna be a big rug pull moment when Morty puts on his signature eye patch, showing that he is in fact not the Morty we assumed he was. A special shout out to Gast Writer on the Game Theorists subreddit for bringing this idea to my attention. It's an idea that seems outlandish at first, but the more that we thought about it and rewatched the episodes, the more it starts to make sense. While episodes 1 and 2 were relatively unremarkable, it was Season 5 episode 3 that really got my theorist senses tingling. A Rick convenient Mort. In the episode, Morty dates a copyright-neutral version of Captain Planet, while Rick and Summer go party on 3 different worlds in their final moments before destruction. And while it's a fine episode to be sure, there's just tons of little things about it that, again, feel off. First and foremost is Rick. We watch as Rick in the episode falls in love with an alien.
Okay, Grandpa, the meteor's almost here. We can go now.
Nah, we still got time.
Then stop being in love and start having fun.
Oh, love's pretty fun, Summer. Just give it a chance.
This is totally out of character, considering that back in Season 1, he was the one telling his grandkids,
What people call love is just a chemical reaction that compels animals to breed. Focus on science.
falling
Okay, that's a bit weird. There is the change of personality and characteristic.
in lust, yeah, that's a total Rick move. But wanting to make an emotional connection with someone and then being furious when the relationship ends, yeah, that's not our Rick. And Rick isn't the only one breaking character here. We've also got Morty falling in love with Planetina. Honestly, who could blame him for falling in love with a character voiced by Allison Brie? But throughout his entire emotional arc, the way he deals with infatuation, lust, love, and falling out of love feels immature compared to where we saw Morty last season. In case you forgot, back in the Season 4 episode Vat of Acid, the show's creators low-key slid an amazing 4-minute silent film right into the middle of the episode. It covers the epic highs and lows of a relationship where Morty learns to fall in love and deal with loss and devastation and triumph and heartbreak and reconciliation and everything in between. By the end of the episode, his maturity level has skyrocketed.
You know, it was fun, Rick. Living without consequences is great, but then I started wondering, what am I living for? We are who we are because of consequences.
Compare that to the level of emotional development and maturity he displays at the start of this episode.
I don't want to think. I want to see a girl I like.
Slamming the door repeatedly in his parents' face no fewer than, was that 4 times? Geez, Morty, why don't you tell Mom and Dad how you really feel?
Alright, that is a bit excessive, a bit childish. Please grow up.
Morty's behaving just like a petulant 14-year-old.
My son is 14, miss. I'm sorry, Morty, you're way too young.
Wait, Morty can't be 14. Can he? That brings us to an even greater inconsistency in this episode, something that goes beyond characters behaving out of character. Because despite what his mother might claim about his age, it doesn't make sense for Morty to be 14 in this scene based on what we've seen so far. I mean, he was a 14-year-old high school student way back in season 1, and assuming everything that we've seen so far has been in chronological order, he should have aged during that time. At the start of season 5, we had this exchange.
When do I ask you for anything?
When do you? I haven't been to a full week of school in years.
And lest you think that this is just Morty exaggerating, we know that more than a year has passed between season 1 and 5 based on the fact that we had Christmas episodes both in the season 1 episode Anatomy Park and in the season 4 episode Rattlestar Ricklactica. At the very least, a full year of time has had to have passed between those two episodes, making him more than a year older than when we first started.
And thus the puberty, his psychological needs differs as he mentally grows up. Yeah.
So if the series is set in chronological order, it would make no sense for Morty to be a 14-year-old high school student at the start of season 1 and still be 14 years old in season 5. Some people might look at these sorts of inconsistencies as the result of a rookie mistake by the show's new writing staff. In case you weren't aware, over half a dozen writers or staff writers on the show got their first writing credit starting in season 4 or later, but I'm not buying it. I mean, it's not as though the writers kicked the show's old staff off to make room for themselves. Dan Harmon is still the man at the helm steering the ship. Come to think of it, the entire premise of that episode with Mr. Nimbus seems off too. It begins when their ship touches the ocean, violating an old treaty that supposedly existed between Rick and his old nemesis Mr. Nimbus. But in the season 3 episode Ricklantis Mix-Up, Rick and Morty had an entire off-screen adventure in Atlantis.
All right, Morty, you ready for our adventure to the lost city of Atlantis?
Ready as I'll ever be, Rick.
It would have been pretty hard to do that without ever coming into contact with the ocean, especially considering that Mr. Nimbus himself is from Atlantis.
If you seek war with Atlantis, you shall have it.
Something weird is going on with the continuity of season 5. For as chaotic and random as the show can seem at times, the reality is that Rick and Morty has been far too intentional and deliberate with its creative choices for all of these inconsistencies to just be random oopsies. Last year at the Adult Swim Festival's Rick and Morty panel, Dan Harmon and several other members of the show's staff and cast briefly hinted at their plans for season 5.
Dan, do you have any update that you can give us about season 5? I know this is the season 4 look back panel.
There's pretty groovy things coming regarding Beth. Space Beth was not a one-off character.
And indeed, we see Space Beth return in season 5, episode 2. After that, Dan Harmon hands the baton to executive producer Scott Marder.
There's epic canon in season 5 coming.
Okay.
I mean, fans are gonna get knocked over by the canon we're about to hit them with season 5.
Again, this is an indication that the show's canon and continuity is going to be a big part of season 5, meaning that what looks like chronological inconsistencies might be no mere accident. In fact, the show seems to be outright drawing attention to the weirdness of the chronology. I mean, why else would Summer put on some giant 2010 throwback glasses in season 5, episode 3? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's 2010 in the show, that wouldn't make sense, but what I am saying is that the show's creative team are directing our attention to chronology. In that same episode, we see Planetina wearing a shirt that says "Vote No to Prop 6. Since this also took place right after she put out a huge forest fire, something that California is known for, I'm gonna assume the No on Prop 6 shirt was a reference to the California ballot proposition trying to repeal a fuel tax. That would make sense for the eco-conscious Planetina, but the what isn't important here, it's the when. Prop 6 was a big deal back in 2018. Yet another example of the show dating itself for some strange reason. Though, come to think of it, that's another place where we potentially have a mismatch between established Rick and Morty canon and what we see in season 5. All signs point to this scene happening in California, but apparently it's only 200 miles from where the Smith family home is.
There's a huge forest fire like 200 miles from here.
And in case you've forgotten, according to series creator Justin Roiland, the Smith family lives in Washington State near Seattle, which is far more than 200 miles away from the border of California. Based on that, the most sensible explanation for these chronological and geographical mismatches is what we're seeing in season 5 doesn't directly follow the events of previous seasons, because this isn't our Rick and Morty.
Oh, it's a different Rick and Morty. Interesting.
And by that I mean the Rick and Morty from Dimension C-137, the Rickest Rick and the Mortiest Morty, as you might call him.
I'm the Rickest Rick there is. It would go without saying that the Rickest Rick would have the Mortiest Morty.
That said, despite them being from C-137, they've actually been living in Dimension C-132 ever since the episode Rick Potion number 9. Just wanted to call that one out. Anyway, to recap, the Rick and Morty that we're seeing in Season 5 so far doesn't seem like our Rick and Morty that we've spent the last 4 seasons getting to know, in terms of both characterization and continuity, which leads me to believe that this might be telling a story about a completely different family. And I don't think that's a big logical leap. In fact, I think that the show is actively leading us in this direction. Season 5, Episode 2, Mortyplicity, was basically an entire episode with the premise, what if we had an episode where we focused on a version of the Smith family that wasn't our version of the Smith family? In that episode, we get a repeated series of fake-outs, where a Smith family is presented to us as the real Smith family before getting bumped off because they were just a bunch of decoys. The point of the episode was that we, as the audience, are blind to who we're really watching in any given episode, and that we're totally willing to get emotionally invested in the characters even though we're not watching our canonical main version of the characters.
That was insane. I love you guys. I've totally changed.
That episode set up the idea that we could be watching any version of Rick and Morty at any point that we turn on an episode. So why not the big reveal that the Morty we've been watching since the start of the season is, in fact, evil Morty? If they can do that sort of fake out with multiple new families within a single episode, why not do it with a single new family across multiple episodes?
Instead of one episode, one season. Now that's interesting.
One thing I've talked about a lot recently with these theories is the show trying to strike a balance between serialization and episodic structures. So how do you balance the two?
What we learned is to split the diff.
From now on, Rick and Morty doing a little of this and a little of that.
Yeah, sometimes we'll do classic stuff, other times we'll do whatever.
I think that this could be part of a brilliant way to, as Morty says, split the diff. You get those classic Season 1 vibes by resetting the characters back to an earlier part of their emotional journey, but it also all pays off in the end, fulfilling all those promises about epic canon that will, how did he put it again?
Fans are gonna get knocked over by the canon we're about to hit them with Season 5.
The immature version.
Let me try this. I'm not sure if it can work. So, sorry. It should be punch first. Sorry.
Of Morty that we see in Rick Convenient Mort might seem like a continuity problem or our show's protagonist breaking character, but it might also just be a setup to reveal that this is all part of an emotional arc for a different Morty, an evil Morty. And I don't think it's a stretch to assume that this new Morty that we're observing in Season 5 is going to turn out to be evil Morty. Let's consider what this version of Morty has gone through in the season already. In Episode 1, he finally manages to get a date with Jessica and then loses her. And not just in a they're not dating kind of way anymore, but for all intents and purposes, the Jessica that he knew has effectively died.
I'm a time god.
Then, in Rick Convenient Mort, we see him running headfirst into a whirlwind romance with Planetina. Maybe it's him trying to bounce back after what happened to Jessica, maybe it's just him with teenage hormones, but he experiences love, lust, heartbreak, and loss in very quick succession. Going from saving wildlife in the forest with your earth-loving girlfriend to killing a bunch of middle-aged has-beens to free her to watching her murder a bunch of coal miners. That is going to be doing a lot of weird stuff to a young teenage boy's emotional development.
This is freaking you out, huh?
It is a lot to take in.
This could be the start of an arc that involves this version of Morty being pushed to an emotional breaking point by the end of the season. Luckily, Mom is there at the end of the episode to comfort him.
Mommy's here.
But this is also the most that we've ever seen Morty relying on a family member for emotional support. What's gonna happen if he loses Beth, or Beth lets him down? His one remaining emotional lifeline, who, once you know, is also back to drinking?
I'll get the wine.
Thank you.
Something that we haven't seen in a very long time. Throughout Season 5, we've seen a weaker, more vulnerable, and less capable version of Rick, accompanied by a Morty who's learning more and more that it's up to him to take control of things, at the same time that this same Morty seems to be getting pushed closer and closer to an emotional breaking point.
Closer and closer to the cliff, to an edge.
Could this be foreshadowing a conversion to the dark side? After all, remember that by the time we met evil Morty in Season 1, he had already replaced his own Rick with a robotic puppet. Well, we'll have to wait and see, but the more I rewatch these Season 5 episodes and the seasons that led up to them, the more I'm convinced that this version of Rick and Morty isn't what it first appears. I know that I'm ready to go nuts when Morty finally reveals that evil eye patch, but until then, it's all just a theory. A film theory. theory. And subscribe to this channel so you can be the first to tell all your friends and co-workers these awesome theories about all your favorite shows. Or subscribe to the channel so you can come back to this video and make fun of me when I completely am wrong at the end of this season. Either way, subscribing seems like the right choice. I'll see you all next week.
Subscribe and ring the notification bell as well. Thank you all so much. If you do let it, Thank you all so much for watching this video together with me. I hope you find this video very interesting and quite newly to watch. If you do like this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel and comment down below if you have anything to share with us. Don't forget to follow my channel and sincerely appreciate all of your support and encouragement for more. You are the best and I hope to see you in my next video. But hey, that's just a theory, a film theory, and cut. Thank you. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye bye! Oh my god, the outro. Subscribe! Oh my god, the outro.